You're welcome. You're welcome to this edition of eMigr8 Open Day. It promises to be informative. It promises to be insightful. We've got a lot packed for you today during this edition of the Open Day. We'll be talking around the UK Global Talent Visa. The specific theme is a data scientist guide to the UK Global Talent Visa. It's a 1 hour, 30 minutes packed session with a lot of different information, whether you're a beginner in the field of tech, whether you are an expert in the field of tech. I promise you that we have a lot that will be useful for you for today. We'll be telling you about eMigr8, which is the platform that is bringing this to you. We'll be telling you about our eMigr8 community. We'll be telling you about opportunities that are available to you today and that you need to take advantage of, whether it's for you to start planning, building your roadmap towards what you need to do, or beyond that, also understanding the global opportunities that are available to you today. Thank you for joining us. It's eMigr8 Open Day. It's an edition of eMigr8 Open Day. Today, the focus is around the UK Global Talent Visa. And the theme for today is a data scientist's guide to the UK Global Talent Visa. Just to make sure I'm not speaking to myself, if you can hear me and you can see my screen, please pop in the chat that yes, you can. If you can hear me, if you can see my screen, please pop in the chat so I'd make sure I'm not speaking to myself. It's eMigr8 Open Day. We're focused on tech-enabled visa opportunities. That's what eMigr8 focuses on. Our coach for today is already in the room, and she will be sharing with us from the wealth of her experience. She will be handholding the community within this short session just to help us see the opportunities available globally and also how you can make the best use of those opportunities. Whether you are ready to apply for your UK Global Talent Visa, she will be sharing a couple of tips for you. Or even if you are just a beginner in the field and you are planning towards this over the next 1 year, 2 years, whatever, you would also find this very insightful. It's eMigr8, and eMigr8 focuses on tech-enabled pathway to relocation and settlement. For today, we'll start with a short session just sharing about what eMigr8 is and what eMigr8 is not as well. Then we'll be handing over to our coach, who will be sharing a lot of information with us today. She'll be sharing her story, but she will also be sharing information that we'll find useful as people in the field. Also today, there are a couple of resources. We'll be sharing around some free resources for the Tech Nation visa. And so if you're interested in applying for the Tech Nation visa is the same as the UK Global Talent Visa in the field of digital technology. So you would hear us using those two names together, right? They mean they are the same visa that we're talking about. We'll be sharing some free resources. There's a major update that came out in November 2022 around the Tech Nation visa that we'll also be sharing a little bit of information around. We'll be talking about move to the UK in 3 to 6 months. We'll be talking about tech career coaching, which is something else that we do at eMigr8. And if you wait till the end of this session, we do have a gift for you as well, if you wait till the end. Remember, our focus is around tech-enabled visa opportunities. I'll just mention that we've had many of these open days in the past, and we have the video recording available. Many of them are on our YouTube channel. We've had Okoyemi Awoyemi. We've had a bunch of coaches focusing on different visa routes, from the UK Global Talent Visa to the Australian Global Talent Visa to the US O1 visa. The last open day was focused on the German blue card visa, the EU blue card visa. That's what we focused on. And there are several of these recordings. So depending on the visa types that you are interested in, the UK startup visa, the UK innovator visa, we've done open days. We've had guests sharing from their experience. We've had coaches sharing tips of what it is that you can do for you to be able to land these visa types, because these global opportunities are available as long as you are globally attractive. If you're interested in any one of those open days, the previous video recordings are available. You can find them on our YouTube channel, or you can ask in the community and you can get access to those videos. Today, we would have Ruola Oyewusi. She's a data scientist. She's an AI researcher. She's the one that will be sharing from the wealth of our experience today. We have a couple of editions coming up. The next edition is going to be focused on move in 2023. We'll be talking about 5 tech-enabled visa routes you can use to move in 2023. But we have a bunch of other open days planned around the French tech visa, around the Canada startup visa, around move to the US as a global talent. The US has a version of the global talent visa. It's called the O1 visa for individuals with extraordinary ability. And that is something you can also target depending on if you have the right combination of skills, experience, exposure in the field of IT. That visa is not just for people in tech, but eMigr8 focuses on tech-enabled pathway to relocation and settlement. And so you're in the right place if you're interested in finding out more about how, one, you can become highly sought after and also move to any jurisdiction that you are interested in moving to. What is eMigr8? For us at eMigr8, we say that we help you become globally attractive. That is our focus at eMigr8. Yes, many of us came because we're interested in one visa type or the other, but the truth is that the visa itself is a side effect of this objective. If you are globally attractive, you would have options. For us at eMigr8, for now, we focus on either a globally attractive tech profile or a globally attractive tech-enabled business, typically a startup. And the reason why this is available today is because many countries of the world, particularly the ones that are forward-looking, they've realized that tech is going to be a game changer. And so they are saying that if you have the right skill, if you're highly experienced, if you have the innovation, come to our jurisdiction, come and live and work and play in our jurisdiction, because we know our jurisdiction will be better off. You would be net positive to our jurisdiction. Yes, you can get free education for your children. Yes, you can get free healthcare, particularly in the UK, since that's what we are talking about today. But what you are bringing is that you are bringing your skill. You are filling some of the gaps in the economy. At the moment, there are over 100,000 job vacancies in the UK that they've not been able to fill because they don't have the right experienced and skilled person to fill those roles. And that's why they make many of these visa opportunities available. It's the same all over the world as well. Tech is the new oil. And so that's the reason why it is. And what we say to you is that if you are globally attractive, you would have options. For us at eMigr8, eMigr8 has a bunch of services that helps. We operate a freemium model. What that means is that we do a lot of things for free, but then we charge a premium for some things as well. We do information sessions, such as this one you are at today. We do general inquiry session. We help with coaching and handholding. We help with preliminary assessment of your qualification status. We also help with self-directed roadmap to qualifying in case you are looking at over a period of time for you to qualify. Roadmap to building your application so you show that you are globally attractive, because sometimes people get rejected not because they don't qualify, but because they don't package the application in a way where an assessor will see clearly that, hey, this is the person that we are looking for. For example, with the UK Technician visa, if you need help with something like the endorsement review process, you've submitted your application and you were rejected, you get access to an endorsement review. And with eMigr8, we are able to help with that, give advice and all of that. And we advise, talk to us. It's free to talk to us at the very least. And that's what you can start with. As I mentioned, we operate a freemium model. So we do a lot of things for free, and then we do things at a premium as well. We've got the eMigr8 community on multiple social media platforms, WhatsApp, Telegram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and so on. Please join the community. There's a lot of information there, particularly the WhatsApp community. We've got other eMigr8 coaches in that community who are looking to answer questions for free, right? And there's a lot that you can do in those communities. We've got the monthly open days. We've got introductory videos. We've got open visa-specific open consultation sessions. We've got visa-specific office hours, and we've got short inquiry sessions as well that are available free of charge. Now, for the short inquiry session, please understand that we are only able to do one short inquiry session per person, right, free of charge. And what that means is that we would like you to take advantage of all the other things that are available for free: the information session, the videos, the document. Google it first of all, do your own research before you then book time with a coach to say, oh, I have this specific question which is unique to me, and then we would like to contribute to your career. We would like to contribute to your journey by answering those questions at no cost to you. In addition to that, eMigr8 also has premium services. We've got a premium community called eMigr8 Circle, which is a premium community. It's paid on an annual basis. We've got personalized coaching sessions, which are also paid. We've got standard packages. We've got packages for different visas as well. And we've got eMigr8 premium service. If you're interested in any of this, you simply have to go to the URL on the screen, and then you fill the form and somebody will be able to contact you. We've got eMigr8 packages as well. So these packages are focused on different visa types. So we've got the move to the UK as a global talent, focused on the UK global talent visa. We've got the move to the UK in 3 to 6 months. That is focused on the UK startup visa or the UK innovator visa. We've got move to the US as a global talent. It's focused on the US O1 visa. This specific one is not beginner friendly, right? But we can start a journey with you, particularly if you're already an expert in your field, right? And there are several others available as well, packages. I mentioned about our community. The URLs are on your screen. Engage with us, like, share, comment, ask question, tell someone about it, invite them into the community. You may be contributing to their career and or their journey. eMigr8 is a platform of Bincom Dev Center. And at Bincom Dev Center, we've got a bunch of other services that we think may be interesting to you. And I'll just run through some of them very quickly. We've got the Bincom Global Tech Program. And this is something that combines 3 key pillars: learn skills, gain experience, and gain exposure in the field. It's a beginner level program. So if you are, or also an intermediate level program. If you are a beginner in the field, we recommend this program for you. If you are intermediate level and you realize that you need the right combination of experience and exposure in the field of tech, this is also very, very useful for you. We've got different variation of packages for this program. It's a 1 to 2 year program where you can say, oh, I want to do 3 months of that program, and that moves you from one stage to the next. So if you're at beginner stage, you're able to move to the next stage. If you're at foundation stage, you're able to move to the next stage as well. And this is the Global Tech Program. We've got the Bincom mentoring platform. So for some of us that are experts in the room, experts in the field, we are asking for you to come help us mentor, because we have a lot of beginners in our ecosystem. We're asking for your time to help mentor. But then one of the things you should realize is, particularly for the UK Tech Nation visa, one of the ways in which you can show yourself as globally attractive is by mentoring on a structured mentoring platform. And that's what the Bincom mentoring platform provides for you. If you're interested in mentoring on that platform, fill the form, the URL on the screen, and then you can take it from there, or you can just ask in the community and they will let you know what you need to do next. Labs by Bincom. This one helps you to build a product-led digital technology with a team. It's a 3 to 6 months program. You get a team of 3 to 10 people who are going to create a startup from scratch. Now, one of the caveats for this program is that whatever it is you are building must be used by real live users. And so it's practical learning. It will help you improve your career and also help you to build a portfolio as a techie. If you're interested, the URL is on the screen. We've also got the Tech Career Coaching Service, or the Headhunter service. And with this service, what it helps with is tech employment and recruiting service for individuals. It will help you land your next role faster. It will help you build relevant experience in your target country, the UK, for example. We will help with connection with technical recruiters and also help with jobs with work visa sponsorship, certificate of sponsorship. And so if you're interested in any of those, you can send a message on the community or go to the URLs, and then you can take it from there. For some of us in the room, this is the one where you want to take a screenshot of, because this sort of gives you an idea of some of the visa opportunities that are available per country for tech people particularly. Now, this is not an exhaustive list of visas. This is not even an exhaustive list of tech-enabled visa opportunities. This is just for you to understand that these opportunities are available and these countries of the world are asking for you if you have the right skill, if you have the right experience. The lowest common denominator across all these visa types. We are focusing today on the UK Tech Nation visa. We've had open days focused on the UK Startup visa. We've had open days focused on the UK Innovator visa. We've had open days focused on the Canada Startup visa. We've had open days focused on the US O1 visa. We've had open day, the immediate last one was focused on the EU German Blue Card visa. What you will find out is that the lowest common denominator across all these visa types is that if you are globally attractive, you will have options. You can choose to stay in your home country and be working remotely or working locally in the local market. You can choose to relocate and be doing multiple things because you have options. And that's what we help you do at eMigr8. Our focus at eMigr8 are visas that have a pathway to settlement, visas that you can move with your family, visas where beginners can plan. We are focused at the moment on tech-enabled visa opportunities, and a lot of times we will discuss in depth around these visa types in our open days. And so you have videos available where you can look and find gems of information from coaches who have shared and poured out information to help you achieve your goals. I will be handing over to our coach in the room very shortly, but I will just say, for people that say, I don't yet qualify, I don't have what it is, what they're asking for today, what should I be doing? What we believe you should be doing is that you should be planning. You should take a pen and paper and make a plan. It could be a 1 month plan because you could qualify within that time. It could be a 3 month plan. It could be a 1 year plan, maximum 2 years. That's the maximum we think anybody would need to be able to qualify. But for many people, because you've done things in the past that already count, then that time is shorter. 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, it doesn't matter. The key point is that know what it is that they're asking your profile to look like. They've given you the question paper and the answer sheet. It is now up to you to say that you can tailor your journey towards being globally attractive. And that is what eMigr8 is here about to help with. And so today we are getting into a data scientist guide to the UK Global Talent Visa. Our coach is in the room, and I'll just be handing over to Uraola at this point. Who is going to be taking the journey to the next level. If you have questions, please drop it in the chat. Drop your questions in the chat. You may not be able to unmute yourself at this point. If we do have a bit of time, we may be able to do our open consultation sessions. But pending that time, if you have questions, please drop it in the chat and we will take it from there. Uraola, thank you so much for joining us today, and over to you.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Uraola Oyewuse. This is going to be a shorter session. I typically don't have a lot to say often, but you shall have a great time. So I don't have a lot to say often. I'm not an immigration expert, so please don't. But nice to meet you all. So I'm supposed to be talking about the data scientist guide to the global talent, to the UK Global Talent Visa. I'm going to start from how did I hear about it? So I heard from my friends. My friends had applied, and I wasn't specifically planning to travel because number one, I don't like employment type visas. So I wasn't willing to leave the country on a work visa because I just feel that if the work ends, Where will I run to kind of a thing. Of course, there's the option of maybe Canadian express entry, but then it wasn't just one of the big plans that I was making. The reason I'm laying that foundation is just to because I understand that there are quite a number of people uh, at different stages of their lives and whatever they want to do. And why did I decide to apply? Like I said, my friend, she had applied and then she got it, and then she says, "Where I think you should give this a shot." So I said, "Okay, why not?" Since we are not expected to write the exams. So at the baseline of the Global Talent Visa is mostly come share what you've been up to with us, and it can be daunting if maybe you're reading online for the first time. But really, at the core of it is mostly uh, what have you been up to in your career. Obviously, it's been mentioned I'm a data scientist and I'm an AI researcher. Uh, when I was in Nigeria, I was working in AI research actively. So that means that my core expertise, data science, artificial intelligence, and research. And so the good thing is that by the time it was time to apply for this, I already had some of the criteria made already. For example, as at the time I was applying, I've not been keeping uh, in touch with maybe some of the recent changes, but I applied last year. I moved to the UK last year. So typically, you're supposed to have a mandatory criteria and then two other things. Um, what I usually encourage is that I understand it's easy for you to want to outsource the thinking, but don't outsource the thinking. It's the core of the visa is asking about what you've been up to and what you can tell them about it. That okay, I think I'm a talent, and this is how I will benefit your economy. At the base, they want people who will come into the economy and make money fast. If you're in the UK, you probably know how much you pay in taxes already. There are many other people like that. It's mostly we want people that have skills that scale on time, that add to the economy, that add to knowledge. I work in research, so I'm already contributing a lot to knowledge here, maybe based on experience and things like that. And maybe I understand that quite a number of people don't work in research, but the way it's designed, if you look at if you as listed by Tech Nation is the endorsing body. It gives opportunity for people in different parts of careers. For example, I'll understand if you don't have publication, if you don't work in research. One of my criteria was scientific publication. I had a lot. So but typically, I think you just need one or two. I have a lot. I've authored as first author. I've collaborated a lot on that. But let's say you're not in publishing. There's a perspective of contributing to open source. Well, I've contributed to open source. They seem to love. Let's say you have a repo that has done exceedingly well. Some people have open source tools. I know a couple of people who have open source AI tools that people are using all over the world. The good thing about GitHub, even though it's tricky, sometimes if there's not a lot going on actively on your GitHub, it may be a criteria to leave out. But if you do, or if you can give enough context for each of the criteria, the people assessing it are human, but they are not magicians. So my perspective is when you're presenting an evidence, add some context. Uh, but before I came, it's not like I was in any major newspaper, so it wasn't a criteria for me. Okay, I was, but I have forgotten. But it's not like I had a big newspaper publication. But let's say you want to share about a time your work has been featured, it will make it's a good idea to list to write the preamble of what the newspaper is about, maybe a link to their website and the kind of coverage they have and how they cover their work. It's helpful rather than just say, and then sometimes the places where your work is being featured may not be the biggest and the mainstream places, but it doesn't make them less valid. You could be in the more silent part of town. You may not be from Lagos, but it doesn't make your work less impactful whichever part of the country that you are. So I'll suggest when preparing evidences, give enough context. So whoever is reading can look at the context and the evidence you are presenting. I've mentioned that I presented about publication. I think for my mandatory criteria, luckily, there are things that can be planned, and then there are things that fall in line. I had spoken in a number of high-profile places, not because I was planning for this, but I just happened. I have been on the World Bank panel. I've been on a UN DP panel, so it was easy for me to make up that. And luckily for me, they published those things because I didn't bother to keep up with the feedback when I participated in those panels. But luckily, Google had some form of evidence. I'll suggest that you Google yourself because sometimes you're part of some event that you've forgotten, and now that you need to travel, it would be a lie to say that, oh, some people are they've probably been preparing all their lives for this, but you may be the person that has not been preparing for long. So you can look up evidences about yourself. And then there's a part of what kind of work you've contributed. uh, I think the goal around there is if it's not paid, you may need to emphasize that, oh, I was part of organizing this conference, it's a volunteer, this was what we did, this was what the website looked like. So if that can be found. I have contributed to a textbook. Like I said, I work in research. So it was quite easy for me to have things related to research and writing. And some of those so, and those work were not planned towards, oh, I want to apply for global talent in the future. They were just things, work that I found interesting, that I've been part of. Evidences differ per people. For example, some people own companies. I don't own a company. So maybe if you're a co-founder of something solid, I think people even present evidences of their companies that are no longer existing. If there is evidence that they worked on that, again, it's context. It doesn't make you a bad person. It's the baseline is what can your mind do, and how can they benefit from this? This is not charity, and they are not dishing it out just out of pity. It's mostly what can you do for us, and it's mostly you presenting what you've done. Okay. Okay, I've mentioned some of the evidences. Another way I know people present their evidences, sometimes I know some people's work are difficult to prove. Let's say you work in something like data engineering. Even though your work is a lot, you may not have a lot of your code out there. You can present some schema of what you've designed, like maybe the data processing pipeline that you've designed. You can present the schema as an evidence. Another thing that I presented as evidence, I've done quite a lot of technical writing that has been read over years. So, I've benefited incredibly well. And those writings, they were not paid, they were just things that I did because there were things that I understood, and then I just share because I have a personal respect for the internet. I've learned incredibly a lot online. I literally switched. I transitioned careers by learning online, so I understand the power of what the internet does and how it can change your life. And all those things that I wrote was I've gotten a lot from the system. Let me give back to the system. So some of the things that you can do if you've not been, I understand that some people are curating towards this. Writing is valuable, is an opportunity to give back for all the free things that you write, for all the free things that you've been part of. So I presented that, and of course, it had thousands of read because they've been over years. Okay, so I've shared about I've mentioned some of the evidences that I presented. I've mentioned why I applied for this visa, and then another why I applied. I wanted access to the world. It's pretty difficult getting visa to many places from Nigeria. It's a life choice. My decision is based on an opportunity to be able to participate in more. And low key, I like the UK because it's not far from home. Even though it's not like I go to Nigeria often, it just feels kind of close. And yeah, so it made sense. It's one of the reasons. So if that's one of the things that you're thinking about, it's an option. I wouldn't recommend that you are, desperate to I wouldn't recommend that you're desperate, but at the core of this is mostly what have you been up to with your life. It's annoying because it's like it's just like every visa process you do with your passport. Maybe as a Nigerian, they ask you these questions. They may not be what you like. Sometimes before you get there, those questions they're already looking at you, but it is what it is. So now that you want to apply, bring your best game to this. Another thing that I know sometimes work for people if you earn well. Earning well is not really related to the UK economy. If you can prove that you earn well in the country that you are from, so let's say you are highly paid. I know it's one of the criteria. You're well paid in Nigeria. You can prove the industry average of your work. I think it's an evidence to. I don't know if it's still there. You can present that as one of your evidences. So it's a mix for me. It's a mix of I'm particular about excellent work. I do excellent work, and I'm great at what I do. And so when I applied for this, it was coming together of all those things that I've been part of. And about getting recommendation, I always have a network of people who know about my work and are willing to vouch for me. Not just because I want to get recommendation from them, but we have relationship over years, and they were willing to write for me. They were not like because I understand that recommendation can be tricky for some people. It's not like it's just people that can prove maybe we've collaborated on something, and they were willing to talk about my work. And of course, they work in tech. So those were the people that wrote my references. What other question is common about this? Let me see. Yeah, so I've said this is going to be short. Um, Sorry, I don't say a lot often. Yeah, I don't say a lot often. So so maybe I can take the questions after this.
Okay. You have shared a lot already, and I'm sure with the questions from the audience and also from the community, I'm sure that there will be many more you will be sharing as well. I also noted down a few questions I'll be asking. I'll just remind the audience that this is not immigration advice. This is not legal advice. This is us sharing from our experience. And that's pretty much what it is sharing from experience. I would also mention that coming up during this session, we'll be talking about a major update later on around the Tech Nation visa that came out in November 2022, that if you are preparing for application, you need to be aware of this update and also plan around it. We'll also be sharing later on around some free resources that you can find useful for the Tech Nation visa. We'll be talking about move to the UK in 3 to 6 months. We'll be talking about our tech career coaching service. And also, if you wait till the end of this session, we do have a gift for you. And so this is still very packed and all. Wuraola, yeah, I'm just going to spotlight you for everyone, and then we'll probably have a conversation. Yeah, so I was going to start by, you mentioned you transitioned from a different industry into tech. I know there are quite a number of beginners in the room. Either they've been far along in their career and then they are now looking at transitioning into tech. And I also know that there are some people that they just graduated from school and they are just trying to get into the industry. I don't know if your story will probably inspire them. Do you want to share a little bit around what industry were you? How did you transition and all of that?
Okay, this is a popular question that I get, and I saw if you Google my name, it has a lot of articles about this. But since I'm here, I'm a pharmacist. I studied to be a clinical pharmacist, so I began my career as a clinical pharmacist. Um, what do you need to hear about that? I'm going to say the internet is generous. I transitioned career by self-learning online, um, and I followed through with things. I'm not fickle, so it wasn't based on mood. It was hard work. It wasn't based on so I began from scratch because I wasn't coding. And interestingly, I wouldn't think that my future was in tech actually, because when we were in school, of course I had a laptop, but it's not like I just didn't think tech was my thing, so I stumbled on tech. I was I used to read a lot of job roles and job description. And then I've said the story plenty of times, but it's okay. And then I saw something for a data analyst, and when I read the list, I felt like, oh, I do everything on this list as a pharmacist. I do. I was forecasting, I was planning, and then I saw SQL, I saw SQL, and then I felt like, what is SQL, and what do they use it to do? And then I figured out, oh, there's data somewhere and they want to get it out. So I just said, okay, let me find a course on it. And then I took my first SQL course. And then and then somehow I think data science popped up, and I thought it was pretty cool. It was interesting, data science, AI, making sense of data. And then I bought my first specialization, and I think it had about 40 courses. I just did it. I uh, I just did it. I followed through because this is a common question. I get it from thousands of people. It's really weird in my DM, but it's okay. Um, yeah, so that was what I did. I bought the first course, but typically, if you're trying to transition, number one thing I'll say is the internet is generous. Tech is exceedingly generous. I come from healthcare. Healthcare is not this generous with knowledge, but tech is. And for example, you can choose your teachers. If you're trying to learn a concept and you don't get it, you can look onto YouTube. There can be 50 other people teaching it from different perspectives. Even if you're not the smartest of people, if you follow through and the same topic, you look at it through the eyes of 10 people, the videos, the tutorials, you're going to get it. And that's a good thing about the internet. And you are not even subjected, for me, and you're not subjected to what makes you hesitate in typical classrooms. For example, sometimes you don't like your lecturer, the lecturer is not giving enough context. The internet is much more generous than that. I usually encourage people to follow an end-to-end system and follow through, and to also be aware that you can't learn everything you need to learn in the same place. It's an entire field you're crossing to. Nobody's going to say, you did pharmacy, oh, this code you're not getting, we'll forgive you. No, it's unforgiving. But the great thing is that if you're great at what you do, um, tech truly gives you, an opportunity, especially if you decide to be great at what you do and you're great indeed, and you will know. I understand that people keep saying give advice. You will know. How you know you've started getting better is that you start understanding conversations. There are conversations on Twitter. There are conversations about what you're learning. How do you know you've become much better? You start to get the words. If they're talking about Python, You're not afraid of the data structures. You can hear lists. You can hear things like that. If you've been learning for a while and you cannot understand some of those conversations, even if you don't know the theory, you need to change your approach. And then it's not fast. For example, I'm not going to say the exact number of hours that I was dedicating per day, but the only thing I could say is that when I was transitioning careers, I was working. But if I wasn't actively speaking to a patient, I was learning. So the way it works is that for some people, and then I usually say sometimes some people just want better for themselves, and that's why they're learning tech. It's a good motivation. You want to be able to earn well. You want to be able to improve your chances in life. If that's your reason, it's perfect. I understand that there are reasons that sound maybe earlier, like I want to change the world. The truth about changing the world is that if you whatever career that you're doing, the way it works, the way it has, it's an opportunity to change the world. But if for example, obviously as a pharmacist, I could come to the UK anyways or go to any country. But if you're trying to change your lot and you're trying to end better, it's a good choice. The key is what are you willing to give in. And what I'm going to say about that, if there's someone that does 6 hours of learning every day, the person does it for 6 months. And then there's you that keep saying, oh, and I like tech, you know, and then you send a DM and then you say things like, please advise me. And I like tech. This tech thing, they've been saying it since 2000 and and me too. I know some coding, I know some JavaScript. Is it the same thing as Python? So someone who has chosen a path, maybe data science, front end, back end, cloud, the person is doing 6 to 10 hours per day for 6 months. Your outcome will be different. So it's not really like, oh, give me material. It's really those people who follow through. It shows it's not, I'm not going to say it's not rocket science. I don't know rocket science, but for people who, you are in transition, you are fighting for your life because sometimes in your life you are fighting. Like, I don't want to be poor. I don't want to be broke. So if you're fighting for your life, put in the actual hours. And then, of course, I'll mention I had the privilege of when I was transitioning careers, of course, I was earning as a pharmacist. And it's not like I have a lot of black taxes, so I could afford the courses that I want to buy. I understand. But depending on how you're fighting for your life, people who give 6 hours, I'm not going to confess the real hour I gave because it's unhealthy. But if you feel you're stuck, you don't know if you're in advance or something, it's because you don't understand the fundamentals. You don't understand how the decisions are made because that's what you're going to be paid for. Yes, how decisions are made. How what is the thinking behind this? If you don't understand those things, you're not going to be great and excellent at what you do, and you're not going to be well paid. But there's a confidence of understanding exactly what's going on as you're writing your functions. You understand the object-oriented programming. You know why your input is this. It just shows. But again, I'm going to say if you're trying to get into tech strictly to better your life, to change your lot, I usually encourage people to keep at it. Just it's worth it. And don't do few weekends or you go for one boot camp. You know, say they did not teach us this one. You can be great that way. Okay. I'm just saying it because I get a lot of DMs. It's scary, but I answer the few ones I can.
Thank you so much for that extensive answer. I think that takes care of, some of the beginners in the room. I thought let's go into the global talent visa itself. You applied on that criteria. One of your criteria was criteria 4, which is around academic contributions through research and published or endorsed by experts. I think one of my questions would be, so some people will be like, okay, fine. does my academic contribution count? Do I need citations? What kinds of document did you actually submit? I mean, you don't have to mention the exact, the detailed one, but at least just to give people an idea of the kinds of things they can do, particularly for people in the research field, whether they are doing their PhD at the moment or they are in the research field, around criteria for.
Oh, well, for that, I just listed the papers I've been part of and linked to them. And of course, the full meaning of in AI and machine learning, the key places where we submit our papers are conferences. So I have quite a number of conference papers, not even journals. So I just put the names of the paper and an active link. That was what I did. Of course, I have quite a lot of papers, but mostly I hear with one or two, you're good to go.
Yeah, or one or two, you're good to go. And do those
Yeah.
papers need citations? Because that's something I hear often. Do you need to be
Oh,
cited?
well, yeah, well, some of the papers have been cited, but it's mostly on the integrity of the venue. Is it peer reviewed? Is it related to your field? For example, I was applying as a data scientist AI. All the papers were related to AI and data science. They were not things I did as a pharmacist.
Okay, that is interesting. Somebody says, does this mean that conference papers makes it easier to use? Um,
Well, if it's a reputable conference, why I said in AI, if you're actively in AI, for example, at work, the team I'm collaborating with, some of them are medical doctors. One of our upcoming papers, my other team member and I, who is a data science person, left to us, we will have submitted to an AI or machine learning conference. But for their field, they are more into journals. So our next paper is going to a journal, even though it's mostly machine learning and stuff. So if it's an AI conference, because to get accepted at the international conference, it's what it is. So if you pass through that ordeal, I'm not sure if they checked citation for me, but again, I said I have a lot, but I understand that with most people, just one or two, if it's reputable, you're good to go and it's related to your field.
Fantastic. Thank you for that.
Peer reviewed venues.
Okay. Thank you for that. Somebody in the chat says, can one provide evidences in two different ways? Working for a tech organization and have a startup that is tech enabled, not up to 6 to 10 in the team. Do you have any advice for this person?
Yeah, well, I don't have experience applying from that angle, but if your startup is verifiable, I think you're good to go. Because I know I've heard of even people, because most of these evidences, their validity is about 5 years. So whatever you did in the past 5 years, I think so. Yeah.
Yes, that's correct.
So
5 years.
whatever you did so even if you ran a startup and how would you verify a startup? Maybe certificate of incorporation, the website, the product. Was it on Google? Was it on App Store? You know, I wouldn't encourage people to game the system, but if you're trying to game the system, at least make it very real.
Yeah, we wouldn't encourage you trying to game the system because the assessors are actually not stupid at all. They are actually professionals in the field. And so we can smell when something doesn't smell right. It's obvious. A few people have been successful, but honestly, it's very difficult to do. It is easier for you to actually be and then apply than trying to game the system. I will also say for the person that asked around that, don't forget that what they are trying to do is they want to see the summation of your story. What they want to see is that, okay, this person has done this much in the last 5 years, right? It then says to me that, oh, you can do much more in the next 5 years, and that much more will benefit the UK economy. And so what you need to do is to be able to tell the story properly. But don't also forget that they are not just interested in the things you did in your day-to-day employment. They are also interested in the things that you did outside your day-to-day employment, basically things that you did for free, volunteering, and a bunch of other things that are available on the Tech Nation Visa Guide. For some of us that may not be familiar, Tech Nation provides the Tech Nation Visa Guide. If you just search for it, there's a visa guide. It will take you an hour to read, and we encourage you to please read that guide. Right? We encourage that very, very, very strongly. Somebody says, I'm a full stack developer. I think I already have some of the requirements. I want to start as soon as possible. What is the process like? What should I do? I think I need a coach. Let me take this, and then Wural, I'm hoping that you'll be able to advise this person as well. The first thing you need to do is spend the time before you spend the money. Spend time reading the visa guide. Read it twice. The first time you read it like a storybook. The second time you read it with a pen and paper, and start noting down some of the things that you have based on some of the things that the visa guide talks about. That's a good place for you to start. With eMigr8, for example, there are a couple of things that you can get for free. The free short inquiry session. You can also ask questions in the community. There's a discourse channel, and some of those we will be sharing later on in this call. Start from there, but then if you need additional help, that is also something that that is available within the eMigr8 platform. Urala, any advice for this person?
Well, it's exactly what you said. Look at the criteria. They try to make it exhaustive, and then I think that there are online communities where people discuss this thing. There's also more information on YouTube, but mostly go to the Tech Nation website. They list these things. Most times under each criteria, you just need one or two evidences that matches that.
Someone is asking, and I would just say to the audience, if you have questions, please drop them in the chat. We will not be able to do the open consultation session during today. So if you have questions, please drop it in the chat, and we'll try as much as possible to get to it. Wurala, someone is asking around your personal statement to say, how did you structure your personal statement in terms of telling this story about your career, convincing the assessor to say, yes, I'm going to bring value to the UK economy?
Oh, well, I've been working for a while. I'm 30 plus. So so my career didn't start from data science. So my personal motivation, all the things I've learned being a pharmacist. Well, luckily, my last role as a pharmacist was a really techie place, sort of. So I built a story on that, on why I'm valuable, because I understand healthcare, I understand I understand machine learning, so I understand data science. So it's just like a statement of motivation, more like see me, I'm good. It's annoying, but so I built a story on that. I didn't cut it off because in my current role, I work with a lot of clinical data. So it's data science, AI, but I work with a lot of clinical data. So it's been an advantage.
You were talking about visibility, and it was one of the things I was going to, because you mentioned it in your opening statement as well, around publications and all of that. Were you in newspapers and all? Are there things you can advise the audience around media visibility? Specifically, are there some tips that people can start looking at as well?
No, I wasn't. I only started being in a lot of newspapers this year. So I didn't have that when I was applying.
Oh,
So that wasn't the criteria that worked for me. My friend had, so it was an application.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you for that. Someone's asking, how many months should you wait for if you have a new digital product before applying? Let me take this. So it's not really about how many months you should wait for. Don't forget that what these people want to see is a track record over a period of time. So it's not supposed to be that, oh, I launch a startup today and then 3 months time, I'm going to apply. What they want to see is your track record over a period of time. Also, in terms of your application, you need to fall under specific criteria. There's one that is mandatory, but then there are criteria that is optional. We're coming to Urola in terms of what criteria, the other criteria she used. So the optional criteria would be innovation, recognition, impact, and then the academic excellence, right? Which one does your startup fall under? Right? If it's innovation, what you need to show is innovation. If it's impact, you need to show numbers, right? And so it's not so much about how many months should you wait. If you want me to give you months, wait 1 year, wait 2 years, but really that's not what they are asking for. What they want to see is your track record. Do you remember the other optional criteria that you used and then some of the documents that you used under that criteria?
Academia was publication was optional.
Yes.
So
And then what was the second one? Was it innovation, impact?
No,
Continuous
contribution
education?
outside work. I had taught at the university. Like I said, some of these things is lucky. It's not like I knew, but oh, someone invited me. Oh, come speak at the University of Washington, and I had taught at the uni.
Mhm.
I had taught at a conference. I had taught at Open Data Science. It's global. I had taught at Women in AI. Again, all these things is not like I applied. I understand that there are some conferences you may need to apply, but I was just lucky to have spoken in a number of this venue. So it's not like it's because I was planning. I just happened to have them. So I had to say they didn't pay me or they didn't pay me. It was free, which is true. They didn't pay me. And then another thing that that was optional under one of my optional, I said writing. I have quite a number of technical articles out there that I've written over the years, and of course they had numbers, so I just put the numbers.
Fantastic. And recommenders, I mean, don't mention their names, but could you describe your 3 recommenders? What was their relationship to you? How did you meet them? And I mean, what kind of relationship should the audience be building now if they're planning to apply sometime in the future? You don't have to mention the recommenders' names, but you can just describe the 3 recommenders.
Well, and the baseline for things like recommendation, don't be an asshole. Um, I treat relationships well, so so don't be an asshole. That's what I'll say. And it's not like I have a lot to say often, but then there are people that you've worked together. For example, I have someone, an assistant professor who I met at the World Bank. We were on the panel together, so she knows my work, and we've always kind of caught up. So it wasn't when I needed a recommendation. It wasn't let me check the cobwebs. It was a good relationship. I had collaborated with someone else on an AI machine learning person. We've collaborated. I think we've taught together at a boot camp. Of course, this person, so the third person is interestingly, okay, I'm not going to say the third person, but the third person is someone who has built a reputation and worked in tech and knew about the work that I was currently doing at work. So the person was able to talk about the funding that the what I was managing, the value of the project, some of the things I've been up to. What else? Yeah. But all the 3 letters, obviously, they are not the same thing. I know it's tempting, but don't do that to yourself. You must think of to make it reasonable. Those people are not fools. That's what I would say. It's quite disrespectful if you just decide that, put some thought into it. But at the core of people who will recommend for you, I understand that you're not a bad person. But then sometimes people who have managed you before, I'm not saying, yes, they all work in tech because they all know my work. They know my work because so all the letters were describing at the specific time that we worked together, what we worked on, they know my work.
Fantastic. And we've got many more questions in the chat, and we'll just be coming back to those questions shortly. But I will just be sharing my screen briefly now. So just share a few things that we had mentioned that we'll be sharing during this edition of the Open Day. One of them is around and Wuraola will be coming back to you very shortly. There are more questions in the chat. One of them was around an important update that you need to know if you are planning to apply for the UK Technician visa. The update is on the Technician visa guide, but I will just talk a little bit around this because this is talking about the recommenders, and that's something that Wuraola was also sharing a few moments ago. Now, please understand that Technician visa, and this is something we do and talk about to everybody that we generally coach, even before this became official. It had already unofficially been talked about as part of the guide, and we had shared that with the community as far back as I believe August or September. But now it is officially on the UK Global Talent visa guide, particularly for digital technology, which is Technician visa. One of them is that your recommenders, they need to show working. They need to show that they've known you for at least 1 year in a specific capacity. They don't have to be like, oh, both of you worked in the same company or something like that, but they need to show, right? And let me just read exactly how it is. Individual acknowledged as experts in the field with detailed knowledge of the applicant's work over a period of 1 year, supporting the global talent application, meaning that you can't say, oh, I met this person 2 weeks ago, and then I think this person is a global talent. Right? First of all, your recommenders must be leaders in the field of technology themselves. They need to be leaders in the field themselves, right? But then they need to show how they know your work and how they know you to be a leader, to be an aspiring leader if it's on exceptional promise, or be a leader which if it's on exceptional talent in the field of technology. Minimum of 1 year is what you need to be able to show in the letter that your recommender would be writing on your behalf to say, this is how we met, this is what we've done together, these are the projects we've done, and I think this person is exceptional. Second one is that please also note that if you're adding additional letter, we generally don't encourage you to say, aside from your 3 recommendation letter, then what you do is pack many more letters as your evidence, because letters can be faked. Instead, what you should do is that you should actually present evidence. Your recommender should have talked about things. Now, what is going on with your other evidence is that you should show other things, documentary evidence, emails, letters, well, now maybe like invitation letter now, not that somebody else wrote another letter saying the same thing your recommender has said, saying the same thing you said in your personal statement. Also, please be careful. In some cases, your recommenders may say to you that, please send me a draft. Right? Understand that if you need to write about yourself, you are probably going to write about yourself in different tones of voice from different perspectives. So you can't just copy and paste and say, all of you write the same letter and then I'm going to submit. These people are not stupid at the end of the day. The final one I'll just mention is that if you then decide that, okay, fine, additional letter is what I'm going to be using, ensure that you are not depending only on the letter. And that's what this other point is talking about. Also, eMigr8 is currently running a campaign around move to UK in 3 to 6 months. This is focused on the UK startup visa. We notice that a lot of people think about, when they think about moving to the UK, even though you have significant experience in the field of technology, what some people are thinking about is, oh, I don't qualify for the global talent visa. Oh, let me go for the student route. Let me go for the student visa, and then I will do 1 year of student visa, no pathway to settlement. I can get 2 years of post-study visa, no pathway to settlement. Not because I want to actually get that degree or that second degree. Some people are even doing a third master's because they want to relocate. We say to you, particularly if you're in tech or you're interested in getting into tech, that a route that you may be interested in is the UK startup visa route. And you may want to Google the UK startup visa route. There's a lot of information about it in public domain, but that is something that may help with your journey as well. The UK startup visa is only for 2 years and has no pathway to settlement. But if you compare apple to apple, And the fact that with the UK startup visa, you can actually work full-time in the UK as long as you are also working on your startup, then this may be something you are interested in. If you're interested in this, you can send a WhatsApp message to any one of those numbers and we will be able to share more details with you. With the UK startup visa, what you need is that you need to be able to pitch an idea that is innovative, viable, and scalable. eMigr8 can coach you with that. eMigr8 can help with that. Also, you need to get an endorsing body who would endorse you and your idea. eMigr8 can coach with that. eMigr8 can help you with that. eMigr8 can guide you with that. Also, because it doesn't have a pathway to settlement, and if you're interested in settling in the UK, you also then need to find a route to settlement over a period of time, whether you're on the startup visa or the student visa and all, and eMigr8 can help with that as well. I'll just talk about our tech career coaching service because one of those pathways I mentioned for settlement is the work visa sponsorship. We've done an open day around landing a tech job in the UK tech ecosystem. And with that open day around landing a tech job in the UK tech ecosystem, we try to break down some of the stages around the recruitment stages that happens in the UK tech ecosystem, but really in many of the other tech ecosystems across the world, similar in the German tech ecosystem as well. And each one of these stages, there are tips, strategy, and so on that can help you move faster across many of these stages because you need to go through many of these stages. Yes, most of us, number 9 is where we want, which is that I want to get a work visa sponsorship if you don't qualify for global talent and so on. Whether you already are, you've moved to the UK without a pathway to settlement, or you are still in your home country, whichever way, you would need to go through many of these processes. And there are many things that eMigr8 has available to help, starting with tech career coaching, starting with AutoJobServe. It's an application that helps you do multiple applications and helps you manage the application process. Also UK work experience, because if you have the right work experience, it also helps. I'll be coming back to share more around the Technician visa, some of the free resources for the Technician visa, but I'll be going back to Wuraola now in terms of questions, and I see many more questions in the chat. Don't forget, if you have questions, please drop them in the chat because we will not be able to have the open consultation today. So somebody is asking to say, Urala, someone is asking, are certificates of professional development good enough to be included as evidences?
Well, there are some certificates that you belong to those communities too. So you can mention it as part of what you do outside work as contribution, but that mostly fits into your CV. I think certificates used to be an old criteria for them, but it's no longer there.
Yes.
But if there's a sort of community around the certificate, you can mention it, and then depending on your other criteria.
So what we're always talking about is continuous education. That used to be a criteria back in 2020 for the Technician visa, but that criteria is no longer there. And so your certifications really would be just putting in your CV. It should be part of your CV. But if you are active in the community around that certificate, right, then that is something you can talk about to say, aside from being a CCNA or whatever certification it is you are the one building that community in your local ecosystem. That is a much more interesting story that you can talk about. Well, someone is asking that I don't have a degree. Can I apply for the Technician visa? So I'm full stack developer, but do not have a degree. Can I apply for Technician?
Yes, you can. I know people without degrees.
Exactly. All right. And then someone is saying the issue of speaking at conferences as one of the evidence, is it a must, or are there other evidences one can provide apart from that? I think we've already covered this to a large extent, but Wuraola, do you want to maybe speak around what this was?
There are other evidences. Like I said, it's almost designed to cater to different groups of people. For example, you may not have spoken at any conference, you may have contributed to open source, maybe GitHub has your pull request like this to a big. I happen to have contributed to open source. I ended up removing it, but if it's major, if it's major, GitHub has a way of showing that, yes, I did this, see my name. So you can definitely do that. You can choose to go for maybe something innovative. I had contributed to a textbook. I understand that publication is not for everyone, but I'm just mentioning from my perspective
That's your
some of the
story.
things that I put.
Mm. Yeah, there's a startup founder asking that, and I would add to this answer. Does the startup need to have raised for it to add some weight into the innovation optional evidence?
I'll say no. I'll say no. What if you are bootstrapping? What if your startup is niche but it's active and people actually use your stuff? What if your startup is something you are doing for free? I don't know. You can answer that. I didn't apply as a startup founder.
Yeah, so no, your startup does not need to have raised, but yes, if you have raised, it's a good story to say that yes, some investors are convinced. And also, if a startup founder has raised before, the industry sort of would throw more money at you because they feel like you are able to do, whether or not you've promised startup field or not. So it's a good thing to have, but it is not necessary to say you have raised. But if you are claiming innovation, you need to show how this is innovative. You need to show maybe patents, for example. You need to show maybe accelerators that have also said that this is innovative and we're interested. You need to show different things, proof points that this is innovative. It can't just be your pitch deck that proves that it's innovative. Your pitch deck needs to be there, but that's not the only thing for you to say that this is innovative by itself. Also, then if you are then claiming impact, then you need to be able to show numbers to say that aside from being innovative, these are the numbers. This is how much money we've made. This is how much we've raised. This is how much number of users that are using our platform at the moment, or whatever it is that is your own unique story. So you don't have to have raised specifically. Someone's asking, recommender work in tech. Definitely read the visa guide. You'll find that there. Can your recommender be a professor in engineering university who you were a teaching assistant for? Well, I don't know if you have any guide for this person.
Yes, depending on the quality of the letter and
Yes.
how findable your supervisor is. If they look him up on Google. So I'll say, let's say you are from typical Nigerian systems, maybe your supervisor is popular in your school and not popular like outside, you can maybe introduce them. I don't know what you can do. Maybe they put it in the letter because it's mostly like they want your recommenders to brag about themselves and then talk about you. They want to know, why should we trust your judgment about this person. So mostly I'll suggest your recommendation letter starts with the person introducing themselves, the number of years they've spent in tech, then they move to how they know you. They can put maybe a link to their, you know but if it's in engineering is tech. So I'm just saying that do everything that you can to make it easy for them to believe you and your supervisor, because there are great supervisors that are not easily findable online, but it doesn't make them less greater. So
Yeah, and even if they are not online. Technician sort of recognizes that not everybody is findable on Google, right? They need to be able to brag about their own achievements and then point to you. So you don't get a response that many people get nowadays to say even your recommenders are not leaders in the field themselves, so they can't trust them. So be careful about the person you use, right? But they don't have to basically be on Google, as Burala has said. Still on references, we'll take these two questions together. Still on references, because we're running out of time. Can you get all three references from people whom you worked with in the same company in the past, but currently they work in different companies? The answer is yes. The fact that you work together in a different company and then now they're in a different company is not, it's something that happens a lot. And yes, they can write. Now, Technician has even removed the requirement to say they must write on their letterhead, because sometimes people don't have to. If you can get them to write in their letterhead, it's better. Don't get me wrong, but it's no longer there. They've quietly removed that to say that it must be written on letterhead. So bear that in mind. They could have moved, but they should introduce themselves to say, I was so in the former place, and that's where we met, we worked together, and this person is a fantastic person. Then how can you as an employee, software engineer of a startup, show innovative impact of the products you are working on? Urala, I don't know if you have some insight for this person. He's an employee, he's not the founder, but he needs to show innovation of the startup he's working on.
Oh, wow. Your GitHub or something that shows your name as attached to the company. If they put your passport small under your company profile, you can click into that story. It's not your fault that you're quiet. I don't say a lot too. So in case you're quiet, but whatever can attach. And like I said, you can share a generic, maybe you designed a system like well, I know quite a lot of people do payments. Maybe you were the one that thought of something API design. If you can make it look really engineering, look engineering like maybe really geeky.
Yeah, and also you can use things like your letter of employment. You can use things like information that you can share that may be available to you. There are many things. There are things that you may be able to use, right? In addition to maybe the founder of that startup writing for you and stuff like that. So it depends on your unique story, but there are many options or things that you can actually use in that case. Someone is asking, while you upload each evidence, do you specify what category on the application page? If it's a mandatory or optional evidence and all, I would add to this, but we're allowed. You want to help?
When you're filling the form, okay, I can't remember, but I think you can, it has these tags. I think what I did was named each evidence by, I think it was K1 or K2 then. I've forgotten, to be
Yeah.
sincere.
Let me help with this one. Yes, generally speaking, part of the application form would say what documents are you submitting for the mandatory criteria, what other two criteria are you submitting for, then what documents are you submitting for the optional criteria, maybe one or two or three or four, depending on the one you chose, and then what other documents are you submitting. What we generally advise is that split your evidence so that it talks to each one of those criteria. So you can say maybe 4 documents to show the mandatory criteria, then maybe 3 documents to show one of the optional criteria, then another 3 documents to show the other optional criteria that you're using. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's if you read the visa guide, it will clearly show you, but then split your document in that way, maybe 3-4-3 or 4-3-3 and all of that. That's what we generally advise for some of the people that we've coached over time as well. We're running out of time, but I have a couple of slides to show. While you upload, oh, sorry, we've taken that already. Is from okay. That's just answering the other question. All right, let me quickly go to the slide. When we come back, you'll be speaking to 3 categories of our audience. The beginners in the room, what do you advise them to do as we're rounding up this session now? The intermediates in the room, what do you advise them to do? The advanced people in the room, advanced skill level, what do you advise them to do? And then there's a 2 subcategory that we've now learned to speak to as well, to make sure that they get something out of this session, right? These are people who are in the UK, but they don't have a pathway to settlement. So they are looking for what can they do for a pathway to settlement. And then the 5th category would be people who are ready to apply immediately. What would you advise those categories to do? But I'm just going to share a couple of resources, as we promised, around the Tech Nation visa. Right. There are a couple of free resources that you should be aware of. The first of those resources is the Tech Nation Visa Guide. This is gem by itself, particularly if you spend time on it. And I've explained to you that read it twice. First time, read it as a storybook. Second time, read it and with pen and paper and start writing, okay, these are some of the things I did in the past that will qualify me here. Now, if you are a beginner, then you can start writing, these are some of the things I can start doing that can qualify me for this visa while it is still available. It is available today. There's no guarantee that Tech Nation will be the endorsing body in the future. Discourse channel is also available. The Discourse channel is is also very, very useful. The URL is on the screen, because what happens is that a lot of visa holders and even people that are preparing for their visa, it is alumni led, meaning that it's alumni, that visa alumni is people that hold the visa. It's led by alumni, and what they do is that they are able to help each other. I contribute to that discourse channel. Some of the eMigr8 coaches on the platform contribute to this channel, and it's a lot of information. You can ask questions, you can get answers, and all of that. It's not an official channel, but it is available. Technician team themselves also do regularly understanding the UK Technician visa. So this is official from the Technician team themselves. That is available. They haven't had one recently, but then this is something that also happens, and you want to be looking out for some of those types of events. The last one that happened was around the visa report, and if you look at that report, it will show you a couple of trends, and some of those trends are things that you should think about. For example, Nigerians have, I think, the third highest number of applications, but then Nigerians have the highest number of rejection on the Technician visa application. There's also the visa office hour, and the visa office hour is something that we do at eMigr8 as well to help in terms of just sharing. It's an open session. It's not recorded, but it's an open session where you can come in to say, oh, these are some of the questions I have, and so on. Now, if you've gotten your endorsement, there are a couple of resources as well that may be useful for you. There's the Technician Visa Alumni Community. It's a Slack channel, and this is alumni from all over the world are in the Slack channel. It's a very helpful community. You are only able to join that channel when you get your endorsement. It was also created by Visa alumni. When you get the endorsement, there's Slack, there's LinkedIn, and there's Facebook, but the Slack channel is the most active as at this moment that we're speaking, and that's something that you may want to look at. We've got the welcome party document as well. This is also Visa alumni led, which sort of is a document that helps you to say, these are some of the things you should do before you move, some things that you should do in 1 month when you move into the UK, some things to do within the 3 months, within 6 months, within 1 year. These are some of the things to do. And it's almost like a guide as well for some people that are taking the path before you, to say these are some things that are useful. Recently, there was a decision, well, I'm personally part of the Welcome Party team as well. There was a decision to say, because this information is useful not just for the Technician visa alumni community, but anyone that is moving into the UK, we would be making it available to even people on other visa types moving to the UK from anywhere in the world. We've got the eMigr8 community as well, which is available. We've spoken about that, and that is helpful. And we've got eMigr8 coaches. All of these are available to help. And so what we say is that take advantage of these opportunity. If you need help, please ask for it, because it is available to you. I'll just recap some of the things we mentioned already. eMigr8 services covers information sessions and several other things. It's a freemium model, meaning we do a lot of things for free, but we do have a few things that we do at a premium. We've got packages. If you're interested in any of those, you can ask questions. We've got the community. If you're part of that community, particularly the WhatsApp community, but all the other communities are also open. We sort of have guided the WhatsApp community now because it's shifting more into anyway, but there are other communities available. Join the other communities first, but then if you're interested in the WhatsApp, they will let you know you can join that as well. It's not paid or anything like that, but many more of our coaches are in the WhatsApp community. Bincom Global Tech Program, if you're a beginner or intermediate in the field and you're trying to become highly experienced, advanced, applying for the Technician visa, for example, this would be useful for you. We've got this package, particularly for people in the UK, helping you to become a tech talent. We've got the mentoring platform. We've got the labs by Bincom. And then we've got our tech career coaching services as well that will help you land your next role faster, that will help you build relevant experience in your target country, connection with tech recruiters, and also help with jobs with work visa sponsorship, particularly for people in the UK. I see a lot of questions in the chat. I will summarize many of these questions because we're running out of time. But I was asking around advice. for the different categories of our audience. So starting with the beginners in the field, absolute beginner, I'm a beginner in the room. What should I be doing?
Well, I already mentioned this before, so I'm not sure, but if you're a beginner, if you're intermediate, the goal is to be great at what you do. There's no rocket science, there's no magic of if this person is mentoring me, I'll suddenly be good. The goal is to be great, and the internet is generous. Use it. Don't be in people's DM trying to be handheld. It's you know
Fantastic. And then for the experts in the room, I see you match the beginner and intermediate. Experts in the room, many years of experience in the field. Are there some advice you can give?
if you're an expert, it is what it is. Don't look down yourself. Give it a shot. I understand that people don't like shame, but the shame of rejection. But rejection happens so often, so there's no reason to really tight the wall to your chest. If you give it a shot and it fails, if you need to try again, you can try again. If this doesn't work, you can try other paths. But don't say no to yourself. At least give it a
Interesting.
shot and don't take shame or rejection too personally. It's common to man.
Wow. And for the people in the UK, no pathway to settlement, student visa, UK startup visa, all sorts of visas, but no pathway to settlement.
Well, you've probably spent a lot and it sounds stressful. And if you want to give this visa a shot, is worth it to give it a shot. Right now they are laying people off. People on this visa, not like they can't lay them off. They are not thinking they will ask them to leave the country immediately. But if you don't get this visa and you happen to get
Skilled
the
worker,
skilled
skilled
worker,
worker, skill up.
scale up. And then the typical rule of finding work, I understand that you've probably heard there's a lot of work. It's true there's a lot of work, but it's also a game of numbers. Apply a lot. I'm not talking about applying in tens. If you're looking for a job, it's a full-time job. So you have a schedule. Apply to like 10 roles in a day. 1 week click. Apply like a lot. And don't take rejection to heart. You're already bold enough to have given this a shot. So don't take it to heart. You'll be rejected, it's true. But don't take it to heart. Just keep applying like an idiot. 1 week click well.
Fantastic. Do like 100 rows a week. We've got auto
Yes,
jobs have
do
that.
like 100 rows a week. Of course, be adjusting. I understand that theoretically they will say, tune your CV to all these roles, but it can be tiring if we say the truth. But
Mhm.
of course, you want a good CV and, just keep giving it a shot. Be on LinkedIn, apply. Be on Indeed, apply. You know, that's the truth about finding a work. I'm an experienced job seeker. Oh, I have experience for work. I've had different times in my career where I've looked for work. So I know it's a number of games. You only need 1 year. So
I like that. Let me just plug in the free advert. So we do run a tech career coach, and we do have a couple of sessions free that can be useful. I mentioned that earlier. Wuraola, for the people who are ready to apply, are there some things you can share with them? Or I mean, you've shared a lot already.
no,
Any last minute advice you can share with them?
yeah, nothing special. Look at the website, match each criteria to criteria, and don't. I understand that sometimes people want to be overwise in the sense that they don't want to lose anything. No one likes losses. No one likes rejection, and no one likes to waste money. But it's worth it to give it a shot. So follow the instructions, give it a shot. I prepared my application myself. If you decide to go for consulting, they can't write your life story for you. So
Yeah.
it's not going to be magic, but of course there will be. For example, I will not sit down with you for the matter you send me a DM. My life is going to be scattered that way. I'm not going to sacrifice myself for you. So please don't send me a DM, please, please. I have like a lot. It's scary. So, but put your thoughts together. Don't overthink and don't be too smart, for yourself. And then there are quite a lot of videos like this on YouTube, people talking about global talent. You may pick from it, but one of the best resources is what Tech Nation wrote themselves. they try to be exhaustive, and some of those communities that you shared, at least the open ones. So give it a shot, and don't take it too personally, but give it your best shot. Is worth it, because there are restrictions that come with the type of passport that most of us have. And it's true, sometimes we may be angry, but it's what it is. They will still tell you at visa places, you have this money, we won't give you. So it's worth it to give it a shot. It's a bit dignifying.
Fantastic. Well, I'm going to come to you for final words. Let me just try and pick all the questions in the chat. Somebody said this about product designers. Sorry, this is about engineers. Yes, this is true, because today was focused on a data scientist guide to the UK technician visa, right? But the point is that we've had many other open days of different people, products owners, product managers, digital marketers, and several others as well. You can look out for some of those videos, and we do have many more editions of this open day coming up that may be more tailored to your own specific skill. If your contribution led to company winning award and giving, how do you prove you are responsible for that? There are a few things you can do along that line. Off the top of my head, the fact that you were part of the team is a good thing. So start with that to even prove that you're a part of the team. But you need to be able to show that, oh, I was the one that was actually leading this, or I was the key driver in this at the end of the day. And there are many ways in which you could be able to show that, depending on your own unique circumstance. Yes, the WhatsApp link is no longer publicly available, but if you do let the team know that you would like to be added to the WhatsApp channel, they would be able to let you know to be added to the WhatsApp channel. We now pre-qualify people that are added to the WhatsApp channel as against some of the other channels, which is open, and you can join those ones first of all before you join the WhatsApp community, which is also a free community, but we are making sure the WhatsApp community has people who are more serious around their journey into the world of being globally attractive. I did mention at the beginning of this that if you waited till the end, that we had a gift for you, and this is the gift. For everybody else, we are only able to do one free short inquiry session per person. However, because you have waited to the end of this session, you are able to book a second free inquiry session. These are short inquiry sessions, 10 to 15 minutes or thereabout, where you can ask specific questions around your own unique circumstance, and an eMigr8 coach will be able to answer that question as well. What we advise is, please do your research, watch all the videos, gather all the materials together, do everything that you need to do first. So don't come to that session and say, what is technician visa? Don't, because you will be wasting money and you'll be wasting the coach's time. Come to that session to ask specific questions that is unique to your own personal circumstance. What are our final words to the eMigr8 community and to the audience generally?
Well, I've said a lot. It's a lot of talking already. Give it a shot, be excellent at what you do, and stand by it. I'm wishing you the best.
Thank you so much. And Ruola, would like to say a big thank you for sharing your time with us today. To the audience as well, thank you for being with us today. Please share this video with your community, share it with your friends and all of that. Let them know that this is available. We've realized that many people do not even know that these global opportunities are available, particularly for people in tech. We've realized that. But then also, aside from that, people don't know that they may qualify for this visa. They may already qualify, or that they can plan to qualify in the future. A key thing, however, is this. We've shared a lot of information today. If you do not take action, then nothing will happen. You need to take action. It could be around you building your own roadmap. It could be around you taking deliberate action to be more visible in your field. It could be around you now starting your application and whatever it is. But the key thing we would say is, please do take action, because if you do not take action, nothing will change. Thank you for being with us today. Thank you, Wurola. We do appreciate you, and we appreciate everyone in the community as well. We can continue this conversation in the WhatsApp community, in our Twitter space, in our LinkedIn, in YouTube, and all of that. You can like, you can share, you can engage, and our team, eMigr8 community generally, and also eMigr8 coaches are available to be able to help. Thank you.